if you're okay, Steve, if I just do a really brief prayer and then we'll jump right in. Okay. So let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, for the blessings that came to us, for the people we interacted with, for the opportunities to walk with others. We especially are thankful for Steve and his willingness to help us um, learn how to use a new tool that can only help enrich our faith community's abilities to truly welcome people in, to connect them with various other individuals and ministries. Um, we ask you to be with all of us as we do your work. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right,
Thank
Steve, we'll turn it over to you and I'll just hush. And if we have other people jump in, I'll try to put a note in the chat to let them know that welcome, and we'll just take it,
Great.
play it by ear.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you. So by the way, just to introduce myself, my name is Steve Welch. I have been with Invite Welcome Connect officially for just over a year. I joined in October 2024 as our first executive director. And we'll do a little history coming up. I did also put a prayer right here up front, because you never know if I'm going to have somebody to pray. So I'll just leave that we don't need to actually pray that, but that's a prayer from the Invite Welcome Connect book by our founder, Mary Foster Palmer, which we'll send out the slides, and I encourage everybody to look at that as a prayer for implementing Invite Welcome Connect and having open hearts.
And Steve, we have a copy of that book in the diocesan library that folk can check out and borrow should they want to peruse it.
Great. Lynn, how do they get it if they want it?
Contact me. Just send it an email to lfarland@diasova.org, and I basically just put them in our little tiny cat library, and so that I can track where the book is, and then we either drop it off to them or mail it to them, and they can use it until we ask for it back.
Great. So first of all, what is Invite Welcome Connect? And I think it's good to look at it as a framework. We definitely say that it is not a program. It's more of a framework that is focused on helping church congregations live into their ministries of evangelism, hospitality, and belonging. If you're expecting a kind of a step-by-step, do this, then do this, then do that kind of program, that's not what this is. It is almost infinitely adaptable to the individual context of a congregation. For instance, recently we've been doing a series of webinars specifically aimed at small congregations who have some different issues than because a lot of times people look at Invite Welcome Connect as a big thing, and they think, well, I can't possibly do all that, or this particular aspect is really aimed at a church that is better resourced than my church is. We're cognizant of that, and we don't expect anybody to do everything. We expect them to look at what's there and choose from the options for what will work in their own context, in their own congregations. So that's both opportunity and challenge, because we don't spoon feed it to you. It does involve your own planning and your own thoughts. Which is what we mean by it helps church communities discover their unique gifts and calling, because every person and every church congregation is different. Sometimes people think of Invite Welcome Connect as a church growth program. It is not that. It is about changing the hearts of the congregation toward evangelism, hospitality, and belonging. Though we see that many churches who adopt Invite Welcome Connect see church growth as a side effect of that mission, but it's not the goal. It's a side benefit. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Quick thing on the origins of Invite Welcome Connect. It was founded by Mary Foster Palmer around 2010. It was kind of in nebulous form for a while before then, but really Invite, Welcome, Connect in 2010. Mary remains as part of our ministry. She's our consultant, and she's still doing live workshops around the country. It originally grew up out of the Diocese of Texas, and spent a little time resident at Swanee School of Theology before spinning off. It began strictly with live workshops at churches and dioceses, conferences and seminaries, and has been pretty much around the world. Mary, in particular, has done workshops in the United States, in Canada, in Europe, all on Invite, Welcome, Connect. One of the first adopters of Invite, Welcome, Connect was the Diocese of North Carolina when their bishop was Michael Curry. And Michael Curry wrote the foreword to Invite, Welcome, Connect, the book. A few years back, we added coaching to help individual churches to both implement Invite, Welcome, Connect, but as a sounding board and also as a way to keep them on track going on. And that's not something it's not directly included with subscription. It's something that we have the coaches. There's an additional cost for that. And we can talk about that if anybody's interested in talking about that. In 2024, Invite, Welcome, Connect finally registered as an independent 501c3 charitable organization. So we're independent. We are self-funded through subscription fees, workshop fees, coaching fees, and charitable donations. And we use pretty much all the money we get. And we launched Invite, Welcome, Connect on demand on January 1st, 2025. And Invite, Welcome, Connect on demand, we'll talk in depth about that, is basically a whole bunch of online training resources. It's workshop material turned into video format, but not shooting, a room full of people talking. It's one person talking to you, along with downloadable resources, assessment tools and check boxes and other things that you can use in your congregation. So it's a fun thing we'll take a look at. There are 4 core values to Invite, Welcome, Connect. Prayer, first of all, prayer and vision. Everything we do, and we hope that everything that's done as an Invite, Welcome, Connect ministry is grounded first and foremost in prayer, because we think that there's nothing we can do on our own. We rely on the gifts given to us by the Spirit and the energy and the strength that we get from God. Important to Invite, Welcome, Connect, and this is one of the core things we really try to teach, is intentionality. That is to everything we do in the areas of evangelism, hospitality, and belonging, we do on purpose. It's not an accidental kind of thing. We think about it, we plan for it, we implement it in ways that make sense for our congregation and for the people that we serve. A lot of times this kind of, this stuff happens in churches, but it happens kind of when it happens and how it happens without a lot of thought or care on it. So we're core to this really is intentionality. Invite, Welcome, Connect is relational because it really is about people and their stories. First and foremost over metrics. We talk a little bit about metrics, and that's where accountability comes in. But accountability really in terms of that we experiment, we see what works, we see what doesn't work, and if something doesn't work or doesn't have a lot of traction, we stop doing it. I know that's a radical concept sometimes in church, right? Where we do a thing because we do a thing, and we kind of attempt to ban the phrase, "That's not how we do it here." It's we try to help churches to move out of that sort of stuck in the mudness that happens because it's the way we've always done it. So, any questions about the core values? Okay. move on here. So we'll look briefly at each of the three, what we call the essentials of invite, welcome, connect. And that's invite, that's welcome, and that's connect, which are, you'll find divided up a little bit, both in the workshops that we do. We cover each of those separately. In Mary's book, they're covered a little bit separately. And in the training materials we do online, there are different sections for invite, which is evangelism, welcome, which is hospitality, and connect, which is belonging, the bringing of people in, helping people to connect to the church, to be part of that church community after they come in the doors. Right. So invite is, obviously it's about invitation. That's there in the name, but it's not all about invitation. It's really about creating the space for that encounter. And there are all kinds of ways to be inviting that move beyond just asking somebody to come to church. Now, I will say, most people, the first time they come to a church, come because a human being asked them to come. But there's all kinds of ways that we signal to people an invitation to come in, and that includes sometimes some of the out of church events that we're part of, whether it's community events, it's lunch and learns, it's bring a friend to church, it's things like Laundry Love, where a church may take over a laundromat for a night and sponsor people who have financial difficulty in getting their laundry done. It's one way that builds church community. And this really comes down to personal stories and relational invitations. That is, you tell your story to your friend about why your church means so much to you. It's I call it kind of soft evangelism. You're not proselytizing. You're talking about why church means so much to you and why it's wonderful, and extending an invitation to someone. I'd love for you to experience it if they're interested. It's not a high pressure sales job. It's really a truly loving invitation to people. And this is rooted in the scripture of Romans 15:7, where we're told to welcome one another, therefore, just as Christ has welcomed you, for the glory of God. Okay. So welcome is the ministry of hospitality. And hospitality is about truly seeing and honoring the other person. Now, there are a lot of practical pieces that come with hospitality. We think about, coffee hour or whatever. But signage that tells people, outside the church that if you're an LGBTQ inclusive space, being really upfront about that and saying you are welcome here. Because if you don't say that, the assumption sometimes is that you are not a welcoming and affirming community. But also simple signage like, here's where you park. Here's the door you come in. Here's where the bathroom is. All those things that because we go to the same church year after year and we know where everything is and we learned it the hard way. We expect people coming in the door to also learn it the hard way. This is about hospitality making those people feel truly welcome when they come in. That includes a lot of first-time visitor follow-up. We say that everybody who comes in the door should get a call or a letter or an email from ideally the clergy at the church, but also or perhaps from lay people, that they've come to see you, they've given you their information. Reach out to them and tell them you're glad they were here, and is there any question you can answer. Also, we stress the church greeter ministry. We've recently added on our website a greeter ministry training guide that covers everything from the little church that can maybe have one person to greet, to the larger churches that might have greeters in the parking lot and greeters at the front door and greeters inside to handle each stage of the person's experience and make sure that they're both welcomed and know what's going on and how to do it. Um, and this is focused around Hebrews 13:2. Do not neglect to show hospitality to strangers, for by doing that, some have entertained angels without knowing it. And then connect. And connect is the thing that helps move people from first time guest to a participant in the worship service or whatever, to really a co-creator of the congregational experience. Now, that said, we sometimes move too fast in, in this area of ministry, where we see a new person come in and the first thought in our head is, oh, that's a young mother, she'd be great for Sunday school, I'll go talk to her about whether she wants to teach Sunday school. Or that we honestly, we come on too strong. So this is really about bringing them in, doing more listening than talking, so that you can discover where that person's passions lie, where their strengths lie, where their gifts lie, where their interests lie. And when they've been coming for a little while, then you can do the invitations to be part of other things and be part of the small groups or whatever. But not look at each new person coming through the door as a resource, but look at them instead as a friend who has not been here before. And so let's bring them in and make sure that they feel welcomed and loved. And when they're welcomed and loved, then they can become part of the community on their terms. And when that happens, that connection is what really deepens their belonging in the church. And that's why they stay. And that's why they keep coming back, because there's something there that speaks to them, that they have become more deeply involved in the ministry of the congregation. Um, So in practical terms, what some of this means is under the invite essential. It's personal invitations. Some people use meetup groups for that. Lots of event outreach. That is, if your community is having an event, make sure your church is represented there and someone is there with branded merchandise and ability to answer questions and to invite people in. That's not necessarily about finding a person at that event to come to your church. It's about awareness in the community, that the community knows you exist and that you're part of it. And that's really kind of a slow seeping kind of thing, not a quick thing. Um, your social media needs to be on point here too. And I know, our church communities tend to be on the older side, but and so may not be as tuned into social media as some of the younger folks are. But there are ways of doing this that are relatively easy, relatively simple. You record video every week, probably in your service. There are tools to let you take that recording of the service and maybe look at the sermon and create some quick little snippets, 60 seconds, 90 seconds of key moments from that sermon, and share those out to different social media as a way to let people know what kind of community you have. We do also find that most people who, before they walk in your doors, they have checked you out online. They have looked at your website. They have watched a sermon. They have been part of your community sometimes without you knowing about it. That's why we talk a little bit in the training materials about online greeters and about your online experience and how that can be a real resource for welcoming people in. And speaking of welcome, we've talked a little bit about signage on the website, a plan your visit page, so that people really know what to expect when they come in. Some churches even do like a photo walkthrough. You come in this door, here's the restroom, over here is the worship space, just so people, you may know that a lot of people to walk into a new church for the first time, it's an act of courage, especially people who have been harmed by church in the past, who have church trauma. And so anything we can do to make that stepping through the door less anxious, and where we get less anxious when we have more information. That's what this is about. To let people know before they come in what to expect. And then when they come in, to be truly welcoming to them. If they haven't been to a liturgical church before, maybe you have to show them what the Book of Common Prayer is. Maybe someone has to sit with them during service to help them. To not, again, not that shark thing, where you jump on people, but the idea that these people know that you care of that they came, and you're interested in that they have a good experience. There's a difference there, because one is about us and one is about them, and it has to be about them in that.
Steve, I love that idea of the walkthrough. So Sally and I happen to go to the same church, and I'm thinking as you were saying that about like if I'm a parent and need to use the nursery, right? So our physical footprint of our church, it's not transparent where the nursery is,
Yeah.
right? It's down a hallway and past the Paris Hall, and so just, even that sort of step of making it known that, not only do we welcome children, right? They could either be in the service, or if they choose to use the nursery, how to get there. I'm just thinking, I don't know if our signage is really clear about how to get there. So I love that idea.
We also don't have ushers.
Yeah, right now we're tiny, so yeah.
Yeah. One of the things we have as in the resources in the toolkit that's on our website is a couple of checklists for your vestry or other folks to use to really look at your church. We ask you to do, and particularly a signage look. We ask you to do separately at separate times, an outside look and an inside look, and really to come at it like, put on new eyes, like you have never been here before. And so, do you know where to go? And is it clear? But the website becomes really important there too, because, if your website doesn't say that you have childcare or Sunday school or something for kids, and they come in and you say you don't have a greeter, then people are kind of lost. Greeter ministry, sometimes, everybody becomes a greeter, because everybody has that depth of knowledge and that welcoming. We have a tendency, though, sometimes when everybody's a greeter, for everybody to expect somebody else to do it. So, and that takes courage too, to walk up to somebody and say, "Hi, I'm Steve. I don't think we've met before," because sometimes you have met before, and you've just forgotten. I don't think we've met before, but I'm Steve. And if they say that you have met before, that's a little laugh. "I'm so sorry. I'm bad with names and faces. I'm glad to see you again." But
Everybody relates.
the people inside the church have that fear too, that, maybe they've been coming here for a while and I didn't know. I say, God expects you to have courage, to be bold there. But the website is really important for that stuff too, because that's the way somebody can look up, people who do that can look up without having to take that bold step of asking a question. And then on Connect, practical application, small groups, giving somebody who's new to the church a mentor within the church to kind of guide them and help them, to look at ways that, that there are service pathways, things that they might be able to do, and conversations about what skills that person brings and whether they'd be able to help in the church. And it may not be the area that you need most. The person's skills and background may be different than that. Or, Joe's been doing that job for 45 years, you're not welcome. You know, um, many hands make light work. You don't want to tell somebody we don't want your help when they're offering that help. And sometimes we grab onto our roles within the congregation a little too tightly. And that doesn't leave room for somebody new coming in. So that's part of the attitude that we talk about in Invite, Welcome, Connect, in opening and making our hearts more open to that kind of change, because change is hard. Change is scary sometimes. But change is also life and breath and growth. And without change, we don't grow. Without change, we lose the ability to serve God. And so while we have to be sensitive to the people who are afraid of change, we also have to help them to find that path within them. So starting an Invite, Welcome, Connect ministry. And Sally, do you have a ministry at your church now?
I'm part of outreach.
Okay. So it's important for when you're getting started with Invite, Welcome, Connect that you do have buy-in from the key stakeholders. Now it's clergy and the vestry, but it's also other key lay leaders, because this is not something that can be done by one person and imposed on everybody. It's really a congregational wide effort. If you haven't read Mary Foster Palmer's book, encourage you to do that. We also have on the website a group study guide for the book, Invite, Welcome, Connect: Stories and Tools to Transform Your Church, that breaks it down. I think it's a 6-week program, which is just kind of perfect for Lent. If you're looking to do a Lenten book study, we give you the tools for that. There's a video on our site, multiple places, and I say I have an extra colon in that sentence. Watch the video. Are you ready for the training? That kind of steps through some of the things to do when you're starting an Invite, Welcome, Connect ministry. And then we also have getting started materials on invitewelcomeconnect.com. Give you a high level tool to do a high level assessment of your current status. But lots of checklists and ideas and resources, and a digital welcome checklist that kind of and we're about to release in the next couple of weeks. In fact, we're going to do a webinar on it in early February. Some assessment resources specifically geared for smaller congregations, but also given something you can either print it out and use it, or it's an electronic tool that lets you do that assessment and then see kind of graph results and things like that. We'll make that as easy as possible. And we'll do a webinar, like I say, in February 4, where we'll walk through the tool and also show how you can use it digitally yourself. So I've got a slide on that later. So other ways that we help, and we'll go from here. When we have a chance, we'll go into the actual Invite, Welcome, Connect on demand. We've got a couple of quick videos, but we'll take a look at how that works. We have the on-demand training, which we'll look at more. We do the weekend workshops, which are in-person training at your location. We have coaching, which I already talked about. And then across invitewelcomeconnect.com, kind of separate from the on-demand resources, are lots of different resources that are available to everyone, including we have a news page with articles that we do, both about our ministry, but more broadly, tools and techniques and things that you can use. If you subscribe to our newsletter, which goes out about once a month, we put most of the key articles there that you can read and go on. But that's a valuable tool. So sometimes it's just poking around on the website will help you a lot. All right, so here I'm going to do. Whoops! Don't start. This is a quick video that gives a really rapid overview of Invite, Welcome, Connect on demand. So you can see it real quick, and we will look at it as time allows on the website. But let me go ahead and play this video real quick. Introducing Invite Welcome Connect On Demand, your comprehensive resource for transforming church communities through evangelism, hospitality, and belonging. Developed over 14 years by founder Mary Foster Palmer, this digital offering provides access to a full slate of transformative workshops and training materials, allowing church teams to engage with the ministry's teachings at their own pace. Mary Foster Palmer is the creator and founder of Invite Welcome Connect and the past director of the Gathering of Leaders. Mary is also the author of the award-winning book, Invite Welcome Connect, Stories and Tools to Transform Your Church. Our on-demand videos feature a team of clergy and lay leaders, all trained by Mary Foster Palmer, ensuring consistent and impactful teachings, supplemented by text, resources, quick quizzes, and a state-of-the-art online idea collaboration tool, allowing participants to share ideas among their own team and other teams across the country. With Invite Welcome Connect On Demand, congregations of every size, location, and resource level can access engaging scripture-based training whenever they need. So obviously your diocese has subscribed for unlimited access, so you don't have to pay anything. And this is for every single person in your congregation as many times as you want. So it's good, when you're getting started, if you can go through and kind of watch the videos as a group and do kind of the exercises together and some discussion. But it also works for individuals. And that's particularly helpful if you're, you get started with one group and then new people come on board and you want to get them up to speed. They can go through the materials on their own. If you finish everything in the Invite Welcome Connect On Demand, we even email you a nice little certificate that you can print out and put on your wall. I have one. So going on here. So talk briefly about how to activate the subscription. So to do it, after this, when I send out the email that has a link to this recording of this webinar and the videos that we just had, that will include these 2 access codes, but also a link that bypasses that access code. But until February 1, is the first code on there, which is IWC 2025, Invite Welcome Connect 2025, and that's Matthew 28:19. And then after February 1, it'll change. The scripture passage changes to Matthew 25:3. You should usually, if you're logged in on the site, you only need that code one time, the first time you access it. But I'm going to send around the link with this video. You click that link, it skips past the code. And I have a video too to show that process. It's honestly, it's a little more complicated than I would like it to be. But some of that is just if we could just put the materials up without kind of controls on them, that would make it a little simpler. But to do that would also mean probably we'd only be able to do this for a year or two, and then we'd run out of money. But we try to make it as simple as possible. And there is also an Ask a Question app on the site. It's on every page of the site. If you click that and tell it that you're with a subscribing organization, you got it, say your diocese or your individual congregation, it'll actually tell you what the code is. But it says we're not that concerned about security. We're a little concerned about security.
Yeah, up to me these days.
Yeah. All right. So like I said, the custom link will be emailed. Yes.
Can I ask you a question? So I know another individual at our church is the one who asked for the code last year when we started the subscription. So is there any issue if somebody I don't know how to ask this. It's not going to matter if we have somebody who had the code last year, they can still log in, or if Sally wants to log in with the new code, they're both going to get to the same place. Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
From the time somebody first logs in, it's a 12-month period before it'll
Okay.
ask for a code again. So,
Okay.
and when it asks again, they'll need the new code.
Okay. Okay.
But again,
Good.
they can ask a question on the site, and and they'll get, actually, we've set it up so that a couple of days before their 12-month access ends, if they're still in a subscribing diocese, as your folks are,
Mhm.
they get an email that explains this to them
Okay.
and
Good.
how to do it. So, all right. So I have another little video that just kind of shows how to do the first time, the first time that you come in and you want to add this to your account. So we'll play this real quick. Again, the very first part of this video doesn't count if you have the special link that I send around, but in the video it does say on it, when you get to a particular page, this is where the link takes you to. So let's watch that real quick. To activate your subscription to Invite Welcome Connect on demand using an access code, click the subscriber menu on our website and choose On-Demand Training. This brings up a guest area page in which you need to enter the custom access code and then click the blue Go button. This brings you to the page describing Invite Welcome Connect on demand. If you have received the custom link, this is the page to which it leads. On this page, you'll click the blue View Details button. On the Details page, you'll click the orange Begin Training button. If you have never logged into our site before, you will need to create your own personal account, including your email address and a password of your choosing. Note that this password is not the same as the access code you used on the previous page. This is whatever password you care to use. Note that there is a login button at the bottom of this page that you can use if you already have an account on our site. When you have finished filling out the form, click the Submit button. Some web browsers will give you the option to save your username and password so you don't have to remember them next time. On the Choose Your Pricing Plan page, you have only one choice to make. Click the blue Select button. To finalize adding the on-demand subscription to your account, you'll need to fill out one more form with your personal details, and then select Save and Continue. Confirm one more time by clicking Place Order. Now click the blue Get Started button, and you will launch the Invite Welcome Connect on-demand materials. Once you have added the on-demand access to your personal account, you can return to it anytime from our main menu using the subscribers menu bar. So that's more steps than I would like it to be, but and I'm working to try to make that shorter. But fortunately, you only have to do it the one time. And if you're having trouble with it, you reach out to me, and I help and we'll set it up. With you. Real quick, before we actually look at Invite Welcome Connect on demand, I just wanted to share real quick two upcoming events. Next week, next Wednesday at 2 in the afternoon, we have the third in our small congregation series of webinars. This is Steps for the Future, and that's going to focus on the essential of Invite. But particularly, we'll also introduce that assessment tool that I talked about. Do the first in that, then that assessment tool is what we will cover in more depth on February 4 at 2 p.m. In the webinar we're calling Nurturing What God is Growing Among Us. And this is about the free assessment tool for small congregations. So these are always on the events page on our website. And I will include registration links in the email when we send out this recording. Okay. So here you go. This is kind of the home of Invite Welcome Connect on demand. I mentioned the Ask a Question button. That's it down here on the lower right. And that's where you can ask for the code, but also pretty much anything. We have trained. First of all, I get notified whenever anybody actually asks a question, and I look to make sure that the answer they've gotten has made sense. But it uses AI technology, and it's been trained on the transcripts for all of the videos, the content of our website, the Book of Common Prayer, and lots of other stuff. So it recently, I saw somebody ask it recently for some ideas for things to put in a welcome gift bag for people coming in. And I just saw the question they asked. I thought, oh, it's not going to know that. And so I logged in so I could give a better answer. And its answer was perfect. So, so I don't know how much longer they're going to need me here. But so, but anyway, you can see overall there are 40 individual steps to invite, welcome, connect on demand. You don't have to go through all of them. You can skip around. You can do whatever interests you. It's divided into 4 sections. One is all about before you start the training, and that has the video I talked about. Are you ready for the training? It has the book study guide, and some other general information there. And then each of these, we have each of the essentials are divided up into invite, into welcome, and connect. And you see this is kind of collapsed navigation right now. But so now we're in the invite section here, and you see each page is set up kind of the same way. The video is up at the top. Under here is a list of resources that are mentioned within this particular video. So, the invite checklist, different things that are mentioned in there or that are part of the invite resources. Many of these are also under free resources in the toolkit, but we won't look there. But everything relevant gets here for the on-demand thing. There's a transcript of the video session so you can read along. You can also download it as a PDF. And that's the format for every video that we have here. And so you see here's the this one's kind of simply done, but we'll take a quick look at a video. We won't watch much of it. So you see it starts to play. You've got the little button there if you want to go.
Welcome. My name is Chris Harris. I'm one of the trainers here at Invite Welcome Connect. Invite Welcome Connect is a ministry of transformation.
So thank you, Chris. Show some other thing. We do completely optional, but little quizzes at the end of each video segment that kind of see, were you paying attention? Did you, and if you answer the questions incorrectly, that maybe you should go back and look again. I've already answered these, which is why the answers are coming up. But again, completely optional. But if you want to take a quick look to make sure that you understood what you just saw, it's a helpful tool. And you just move through session to session. I wanted to show you in particular, we talked about the online idea collaboration tool. There's one for invite, there's one for welcome, and there's one for connect. And what this is, these are, if you were to attend an in-person workshop, or if your group goes through a set of videos together, at the end, we ask you to brainstorm ideas around each session on invite, on welcome, and connect, with the idea that at that point, you're not editing at all. It's all ideas. And you'll see, if you're in an in-person workshop, we use Post-it notes that all go up on the wall together. And then from there, you begin the process of looking at what resonates with your group, something that you can actually try and do together. This is a way of kind of replicating that for the individual going through online, because you can see what ideas other people have put up, and you can click to add your own idea. For all of these, you can also, heart them, like them, so that, and actually the more hearts you get, the higher up in the list you get. But you can see we have a lot of little ideas that are here. These have been gathered over time. So it's a nice little kind of community bulletin board of things that people have done, or on the topic of invite. There's one for welcome and for connect as well. But it's a neat little online thing that replicates what we do in the in-person thing. We do encourage you, your Invite, Welcome, Connect team, to go through this process together, to do that kind of idea collaboration. And it talks about it in the in the video a little bit. We do ask if you take it. We're hoping that we will improve and add over time. So we do ask everybody to provide feedback on each thing, and whether it's here or sending us a message, we always want to hear from y'all. What's working, what's not working, what you'd like to see that we don't have, and we're adding new content all the time. So so that's and improving things over time. For each one at the end, when you finish any section, you can either click over here to go to the next thing, or you can scroll to the bottom and go complete step and go to the next one. You hit complete step, it puts a check mark next to it, and gives you credit toward your certificate. If you do all of them at the end, a certificate will just be emailed to you, something that you can print out and share. It's a nice thing sometimes to do in a worship service, to acknowledge people and give out the certificates. So I'm mindful of time. We only have a few minutes left. Is there anything that I didn't cover, or anything that I said that raised more questions than it answered, or anything else you'd like to see?
I was glad to see that you had it for small churches, because there are more churches that are smaller than they used to be. I don't know, Lynn, has this been given to the vestry, or have they looked at using this as a tool?
So a vestry member did ask to use it, and I'm trying to think if years ago when the diocese hosted, I mean, I'm talking like maybe 9 years ago, when the diocese hosted one of Mary's in-person workshops, there was probably a group of maybe 5 people from Ascension who went to the workshop, right? So the language is there someplace within our community, but most recently it was a member of the vestry who asked for the code and wanted to kind of jump into it. So I don't know if that answers your question. So there's
In a way it does, because we're really at a place where this might be appropriate. I don't know. I really took the workshop because churches are taking on different roles. And Steve, I liked what I was, listening to what you said about letting on the outside of the building, letting people know who you are.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important, because then it does say who is this congregation? What do they represent? So I know this very popular now to have these banners and flags or whatever, but I think I like it. I mean,
Well, and banners and flags are good for attention getting, but
Mhm.
going out in the community and being known is really important. And being part of community events, and opening your doors to, if you have, if you have a commercial kitchen, for instance, and the township wants to host a dinner, opening that space to them, or whatever, looking for ways, proactive ways
More and more.
where the community comes in. Um, I tell this story. It's an interesting story. I hope. Anyway, I took a workshop with Mary Foster Palmer again, probably 9 years ago, something like that. And it was a diocesan-wide event. So from my own church, it was only myself, our rector, and my wife, who's now a deacon but wasn't at the time. And I walked out of there and I thought, gosh, that was great. I wish that Joel could have been here for that, and I wish that Mary could have been there, and all these people from my vestry and from my congregation who weren't there. And the next day, I wrote Mary Palmer, and I said, we really should do an online version of this, because how many of you are there? And nothing happened at the time, but then 9 years later, they advertised for an executive director to do exactly this and be part of it. So I'm a real believer that this is something that can really help and invigorate a congregation's ministries around here.
Yeah.
It's not easy, and it takes commitment, and it takes more than just one or two people. It's a culture of the congregation.
Yeah, it is, and it takes patience.
Yeah. And it takes a willingness to fail,
Yes.
'cause-
Yes. But I think the other thing is that uh it's solid information, right? And little of it is kind of rocket science kind of things, right? There's a lot of, as you read through the book, as you read through the resources, you have well, I know that, right? That's how I would want to be treated, right? Those are the things that make me want to go in a place, right? But I think in our faith communities frequently, I mean, I've used this analogy in other cases, right? So I think we get sort of blind to the things that,
Yeah.
because we're so used to it, right? We're like, well, I know how to get to the nursery, and I know that
That's
sort of
right.
starts at
Yeah.
this point, right? And we don't think about looking at our communities with fresh eyes, right? Like when I go out and do vestry retreats, one of the things I always encourage a vestry to do is talk to your neighbors, walk around, talk to them, ask them, what do you know about, for our Church of the Ascension around the corner, right? Because I think we assume since the place is relevant to us that it's just going to be transparent for everyone.
It's so important to us.
Yes, and
You assume that
yeah, and that's what I mean
We're-
by you kind of get those eyes of like, I know that my carpet is 30 years old. I don't see it as 30-year-old carpet every day, but I guarantee if you came into my house, you'd be like, "Dang, Lynn, you got 30-year-old carpet back there." It's just
And
for the fresh eye piece, and that's what I mean by little of it is rocket science. I don't mean to minimize it. I think it's
No,
all
absolutely.
very, very
This should
sound.
not be radical.
Yeah.
This should not be radical. But what it really comes down to, more than anything else, is to imbue that sense of intentionality.
Mhm.
That everything we do on purpose.
Yeah.
And that it's part of who we are. And now it becomes natural. It becomes like I can go, I wind up, I visit a lot of churches around, and I as I'm walking up to the church, I'm looking at the signage, and I, and because I'm also looking at it with new eyes, and every church has a different way to get in the front door.
Yeah.
And it's not always the obvious one. You have the classic white church steeple with the doors on the front, but you're supposed to enter over here. And everybody knows that, but there's nothing outside telling you that.
yeah.
So you go,
I
and you start
just went
pulling on
to
the
a
front
church
door.
like that. I
Yeah,
just
you
went
start
last
pulling on the
Sunday.
front doors,
Yeah.
you can't get in.
Yeah.
So
I think the other piece about these resources, and this may sound silly, but it's less about us and more about them, right? More about thinking of it from a true sense of, of hospitality, right? And
welcoming the stranger.
yes, absolutely. And I think that, I mean, it's the same thing if you're in a business area and you do customer service training. Rarely do you look at those tools that are taught to you and think, well, this is really impossible to do. Now, in some cases, they might be stretches based on the number of people that you have, but it's always like, oh, I know that's how I would like to be treated, right? Like if you walked into a church and couldn't figure out how to, which door to use, we all have that. Well, a sign would have been nice here,
Yeah.
right?
So
Or a greeter,
nobody will do all of this.
right?
Everybody should do some of it. And there are certain things that everybody should do, like make sure that your signage is clear and makes sense. And that doesn't have to be an expensive thing. Signage can be expensive, but it doesn't have to be. And if you have greeters, sometimes the signage becomes less necessary because you have people telling people how to do stuff. And the big part of the point of Invite, Welcome, Connect is that we don't tell you what to do. You take these resources and you get a lot of tools for things that you might do. But it really has to work in your congregation for your context, which is sometimes sometimes harder to do on one level, because we're not giving you a do this, do this, do this. But if we gave you a do this, do this, do this, and you couldn't do this, you don't do any of it. Right? This is really about what works in your congregation, but with the idea that it's about, well, being a resource for your community, whatever it is, to really look at people who encourage people to come in your door. And when they come in your door, look at this as what can we do for you, not what can you do for us.
Right.
If you look at it that way, what can we do for you? And you make them part of your community, then they'll do stuff for you too. But that's not your point. That's not your goal. Your goal is to serve the person. And, that's doing God's work. And when we do God's work, God rewards us. Anything else we can answer for y'all tonight? Yeah.
No, we appreciate your willingness to help us out with it, and the fact that
Especially just me. I appreciate that very much.
Well, I'm doing another one of these tomorrow, so I needed a rehearsal. So,
I think, by the way, Steve, I think we're cousins because my maiden name was spelled exactly like yours.
is that right? Yeah.
So we must
Kind of
be
an unusual spelling of it. I'm on Ancestry.com with the genetic testing, which turns out I'm a lot less Irish than I thought, and much more Scottish and German,
Nah.
and almost not Welsh at all. Almost not Welsh at all.
Yeah, my father was from Cornwall.
Okay.
Yeah, so he Southern England.
Yeah.
But Steve, we appreciate you taking the time to do this. And we can do this offline, but I think you and I talked too about maybe having you do like a quick promo commercial that we could use at our annual convention next month.
Sure.
If that's still an option.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
We'll do that.
Yeah, so that happens the 6th and 7th of February. So if that's still something that we need to chat on, just let me know. If it can't be done, that's okay too.
No, it absolutely can be done. Remind me how long you wanted it to be?
Like 3 to 5 minutes, because we have tons of videos that get shown. So it could actually also even be if it wanted to, be a static slide of, if you want to utilize the resources, here's the codes, because we could flash that up on the screen.
I can give you both if
Yeah,
both
that'd be
a static
great.
slide and
Just
a video.
a short, like it's available and our diocese subscribes to it, and feel free to use it. And any of that helps. Anytime we pay for a license for something, the more we can share that out so that people use it, the better.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, obviously it's in our interest that you get as much use out of it as possible. That's
right. Right. So we appreciate it.
We want you to keep coming back, and we do this because we believe in this ministry and we think that it really can help. So we want as many people to use it as possible. So,
right.
With that, it'll take me. I'll do a slight edit on the video to kind of cut out some of the extraneous stuff, and I'll post it on a unlisted site on our YouTube. But I'll send that link out, as well as a link to the slides, and then everybody will also have my contact information if they have questions.
Okay.
Great. Thanks, Steve. And Sally, thanks for coming, right? We had other people who registered who I'm sure are like, I'm just going to watch the videos. So they'll get to hear our little chat here.
And they miss our charming faces though.
I know. What's that about?
Well. And Lynn, can you stay on the Zoom for just a second?
I can't, because this is Steve's Zoom. So
it is.
I can make you host. And just
I can give you a call tomorrow, Sally.
Yeah, that's fine. I sent you an email. You'll get it. You'll see.
Yeah, I'm
good, Steve. We're fine because we can tell it tomorrow.
Great. Well, thank you both. Good night. We'll and reach out anytime you need anything.
Will do. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sally.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.